Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central on a beautiful Tuesday morning, reaching you from the Center of Excellence in Lagos, Nigeria. We have a lot in store for you as always. So many things happening. Tensions in the Abuja High Court. We'll talk about the environment in Lagos. So many Lagosians are saying Lagos is not living to its billing as the Center of Excellence because of the amount of garbage we have strewn on the streets of Lagos, who will be taking a deep dive and looking at the causes and what the government is doing about that. I'm not alone. I also have with me in the studio the lady in red, looking like Little Red Riding Hood this morning. Good morning, Olive. What bank do you work for this morning? I would like to cash out.
I work for Bank of Mount Olive. That sounds like a good name.
Yeah.
In the future, when I make a lot of money and decide to open my own bank, Bank on Olive or Bank of Mount Olive. You heard it first on Breakfast Central. Good morning and you're welcome to Breakfast Central. Thank you for starting. Well, it's not starting the week, for continuing the week with us. It's the second day of this week. We're counting down to the end of the month. A number of us are going to receive alerts in a few days. I know that you're excited. Please remember to budget. We have been having these conversations every Monday talking about budgeting so that when the money comes, the way it comes is not the way it's going to go out. Today, we're going to be sharing with you a lot that's been happening in Nigeria in the past 24 hours. Yesterday, we saw the video of Omoyele Sowore and the way in which he was being bundled like a criminal by the DSS, and they were almost forcing him into the van, and then he refused and insisted on being transported to the correctional facility with the regular vehicle. We'll be looking at the legalities or otherwise of that, what it's telling. The court will be hearing his case tomorrow, Wednesday, the case for the bail application, and then we'll know what the next steps are. But for now, please head on to YouTube, drop a comment in the chat box, let us know what you're thinking, react to any of the stories. Your comment matters here on Breakfast Central.
Olive, it's time to introduce our leader,
please leave me alone. This is what people did to me yesterday. It's you I should have done it to, not Joe.
Introduce our leader.
My name is Olive Emodi, and it's an honor to be handing over the baton to the incredible, delectable, talented tech bro, Joe
Our
Hansen.
dear leader of the Joe Hansen-led breakfast faction.
For today, I'm not going to argue with your leadership. For now,
please,
my leader, Ahelo, Kunduz,
I'm not
Kunduz.
Oh my goodness.
Appraisal is coming soon.
Appraisal and
you're a wise man, my friend.
So, what would you like to have for breakfast, please? Can I take the order?
I like eggs and sunny side.
How are you different from the Nigerians that collect 15,000 to sell their votes if you're already lobbying for appraisal?
No, I'm just showing love, appreciation. Showing love is different. You know, somebody said rigging is different from vote buying.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
So
Can you imagine
love is what you're
Showing
doing.
love is what I'm doing.
Well, at this point, let's tell the DJ to put the song Appreciation.
Mo dúpẹ́, oníbu ọ̀rẹ́, bàbá mọ̀pẹ́. Our MD will soon tell us, maybe we should switch
My dear, this morning we just have to be happy because there's too much
sad.
There's too much sad story.
You have to make yourself happy.
First off, good morning to every single person who's joining us every morning. By the way, yesterday we got some compliments. I met a few persons while on my way home, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I was watching your show, you guys. Oh, I didn't know." And I was like, "Okay,
yeah.
this is interesting."
That's massive.
But sometimes we wish when you come to say, "Oh, that guy, what's that guy's name? Benga, Olive. Oh, you guys are fantastic." You know what? Let me.
No, please don't do such. I don't know. I have no idea what you speak about.
But you know what I love most about the story you just told us now? The fact that they called my name before Olive, that guy Benga, then Olive. You are a last hope.
Your patriarchy is screaming. Your patriarchy on this set is screaming. But guess what? Justice for women rights.
Yes. I think it would be nice for you to do a photo shoot with Mr. Solomon Dalong.
Okay. Let's move on.
You look like Solomina.
I'm not the only one shouting justice.
I'm done.
The followers of the Revolution Now movement are shouting justice.
Olive, do you know that's being partisan?
No, she's
shouting
describing
justice for womanhood.
Justice for womanhood,
yeah. Because
you said
outside.
Revolution Now.
Yeah, I'm saying that I'm not the only one shouting justice.
That's what's happening.
Revolution Now people are the ones shouting justice.
That would be our first story.
Exactly.
But first of all, we must also mention that question is Lagos safe? I think that's the biggest question I woke up to this morning. Is Lagos safe? The reason why that question is very important is because an IED was discovered in Mushin, and the police swung into action. It's also going to form part of our conversation this morning. In case you do not know, you've not heard the story, you may have been following our news every hour. We had covered that news extensively, but on Breakfast Central, we cannot but ignore the fact that it's a story that has to return back.
Okay, so
to
maybe
Breakfast
we should start with that story then, talking about the IED.
It's one that's filled with scare, fear, worry, and a whole lot. That's a story. But in case you do not know, let me quickly let you in on the information that one person was declared injured after an IED, which is an improvised explosion device, actually exploded in Lagos Market, particularly in Mushin area. The Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Command, his name is Mr. Fatai Tijani, quickly swung into action with his men, especially members of the EOD. EOD for the police force there stands for Explosive Ordnance Disposal team. They swung into action, and it was discovered that it was under a particular car, where after the driver had started the car, the passenger on the right side, just in front, was the one who was affected. The footage you see there on the screen showed people gathering, asking questions like, what is happening? But as soon as the Commissioner of Police arrived at the area, they combed the area, they checked for any other explosive devices, but they said there was none, and then he declared the area safe. However, they had cordoned off the particular area where the explosion had taken place. Questions started, raging in the air. People were asking, how did an IED come to Lagos? Who must have implanted it in a car? What was the plan? Are we now faced with the same terrorists that have, in a way, found their way to permeate into the system, particularly Lagos being a target, Lagos being a commercial nerve? What would this mean? Should such happen? A lot of questions, guys. But let's just see the footage. Let's see the videos. Let's see the reactions of the people. Let's also get to see what the commissioner had to say while addressing Lagosians.
Anyhow, because they are sure what do I make? Come on, anyhow. Go take the report. What do I do? What do I do? So the one you don't know the content of that particular, whether you have whether call the police. The word is the house. Everywhere is free that been certified free of any explosive or something like that. So everybody can go back their love. Thank you for
every night.
Sorry.
Okay, so that's the CP Lagos State speaking to the people and giving them some form of assurance that nothing more could be found within the area. That's the vehicle in question. Although there are other comments regarding the explosion, if it was really an IED or it was something else.
Exactly.
And was it? But we cannot treat this with kids' gloves, Binga.
I know. In the times we live in, if there's any explosion or anything that looks like that, it would raise questions. This is a very densely populated area of Lagos State, and we've been talking about rising insecurity in the country. So if you have situations like this, of course, tongues will be wagging and people would try to make all sorts of conjectures with regards to what really happened. But I'm glad the police EOD department was there. They will give a report and let us know what happened. But typically, if there was an IED explosion, the damage would be much more than what we saw. That sort of damage can be caused by maybe you leave your lighter in the sun and is exposed to...
Hero, this one is IED.
This one, they actually checked.
Confirmed
They
that
confirmed.
the IED was under the passenger's vehicle.
so-
Apparently, the owner of that car had just moved into the area 3 months before. 6 a.m. went to go and start his car, and in the process of starting the car, the IED exploded at the passenger side and injured him. He's safe, he didn't die, but he was injured. And this is not the first time that there's been a detonation of some sort in Mushin. In 2025 in Idiaraba, there was another similar detonation. However, this time around, it was a scavenger who was trying to dismantle. Of course, you know what scavengers do. They scavenge.
Iron condemn.
Iron condemn, exactly. That's what we call them. So he picked up this metal. I was trying to dismantle the metal, which we then later find out was a grenade, exploded, killed him, and injured a number of other people. So this is not the first time. That one was scavenger related.
There's also one that happened in Ikeja.
Sorry?
There's also another one that happened in Ikeja where there were rumors and the police came and checked. You know, there's a lot. There's a lot in between.
For me, I would say that the concern with this is, of course, regarding the state of insecurity. There are so many unanswered questions, and I don't blame if the police says, oh, the area is safe. I don't blame them. What do you expect them to say, of course?
Yeah,
they will say that
need
they've done their job. But there are questions that need to be answered before citizens can... Exactly. Before citizens can deem that place safe. First of all, how did the IED get there? Who put it there? Was it a particular target? Was the person, the owner of the car, was the person the target, or was there a bigger target? What was the purpose of that IED? Was it put by a terrorist? Was it put by an individual? Is it an isolated incident? Or is it linked to the state of insecurity that's been happening, or the different pockets of insecurity that have been happening within the country? Until these questions are answered, we completely cannot be sure what exactly the situation is. But we've seen different reports. Different newspapers have reported different things. If I look here at the Punch newspaper, for example, the Punch says that the way the Punch reports it, it says, the CP Vatai during his visit urged residents of Mushin and surrounding areas to remain calm and continue their lawful activities, assuring them of adequate security deployment to safeguard lives. Anyway, so Punch reports that they didn't find any explosive device, right? That no explosive device was found. But then you go to, I'm trying to open this other paper to see the, so we've seen different reports, yes. Vanguard then reports that there was a suspected improvised explosive device yesterday detonated beneath a parked vehicle in the Mushin area of Lagos that injured the owner and caused panic among the residents. Vanguard even puts, you know, the name of the owner of the car, like the brand of the car, and then goes on to say that according to the commissioner of police, that preliminary findings showed the explosive device had been planted underneath the vehicle. So we're seeing two conflicting reports. A different report from Punch, a different report from Vanguard.
Still quoting the commissioner.
All of them still quoting CP Fatai. He said the substance that exploded has been confirmed as an IED. The owner sustained minor injuries and has been taken to hospital for treatment. If I were to assess it, I mean, I'm not an expert, but for any explosion to occur, something has happened. You don't just start your car in the morning and boom, there's an explosion. And
explosions happen for different reasons. I wish, I mean, the members of the press that were present there pressed on and asked really deep questions, because even the commissioner of police himself, merely visually assessing that situation, cannot give a comprehensive assessment of what really happened. He has to wait for the report of the explosive and ordnance disposal team to come to a scientific conclusion that, look, this is what happened. And I'm leaning more towards... Domestic accidents can cost this sort of damage. Very true. However, I'm leaning more towards the report of the Vanguard, which says that remnants of the IED have been recovered and taken for forensic analysis. The area has been certified safe and there is no cause for alarm. According to the Vanguard, they are reporting that no additional explosive devices were found. Not that there was no explosive device found, that no additional explosives were found. But I'm sure we'll get more.
It pretty much, to me, looks like, well, it's too early in the day to conclude, but it looks like a foul play. It also looks like, I mean, don't forget that it's called improvised explosive device. It is actually improvised. It's not an actual bomb. Someone can actually sit in his house and put this thing together. However, there's a lot of work for the police now. They need to trace who and how they can get to this person. I think it starts from the owner of the vehicle first, but it's a cause for worry because we live in very, very strenuous times where insecurity is the order of the day, and we're wondering that if we're not treating it quickly, it may escalate to something else. It starts like this, and then before you know, it becomes a full-blown issue. However, today also marks 38 days since the Oyo kidnapping took place, where students and teachers were taken into the forest. The update on that story as well is that the state governor of Oyo State and the security agencies have cordoned off as well the escape routes, they say. They say they've blocked the escape routes. They've mapped out, so even if they want to, that they're still inside the bush 38 days after. They're saying if they have to leave the bush, their escape route has been blocked on different areas.
I don't know how comforting that information is.
That's the latest updates that we have. That's also a press release as well.
Nigerians want these people out. But let's take reactions from what Nigerians are saying on this IED that was discovered in Mushin area of Lagos. Uncle Mike says, why are we even having IED scare? There's a problem. There is a problem. Adeomade says, before one governor comes and tell you that they have no control over security in the state, know that Lagos State Police Command is proactive and responding to threats accordingly. Kudos.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was great that they were on top of that situation in great time. Isa Sadiq Ishola says, I know the police is doing their job to discredit any insinuation that this incident occurred by the terrorists, but they should not relent. Okay. Miguel says, we cannot take security for granted anymore. We all have to be alert and also be vigilant. The Esther Faith says, only God can save and revive Nigeria.
And then on YouTube, let's take some comments on YouTube as well. Good morning to our YouTube audience. And if you're just tuning in, we take comments on YouTube and reactions from start to the end of the show. We're streaming live on YouTube via News Central TV Live. On YouTube, good morning, Mokia Chukwuemeka. Good morning, Mr. Johnson. Good morning, Nenjisan. Mr. Johnson says, why is safe in Nigeria? Nenjisan says, the guy should be questioned. Who is he? What does he do? What does he look like? Because it looks like he was being targeted. I'm not too sure it looks like it. Please, before you turn on your car, check very well. So this is another level of fear that's been unlocked.
Please.
Before you press, you now go and look on that. Check everywhere. It feels like what we see in the movies. It's not like what we will typically see in Nigeria.
I mean, we must also give kudos to the Bale of Mushin, Mr. Tunje as well. He was alerted first, and then he quickly picked up his phone, called the security operatives. I think was also able to meet this, call the CP, who quickly came. That's exactly what we expect when it comes to communities working together to ensure safety of people. But that's the story. We will bring more updates on that. Let's go to another story very quickly on our wake-up conversation. This time, tension filled the Federal High Court in Abuja yesterday as activist and presidential candidate of the AAC, Omoyele Sowore, clashed with operatives of the Department of State Services. Justice Mohammed Umar had revoked his bail and ordered his remand at the Kuje Correctional Centre. However, drama unfolded when DSS operatives attempted to force him into a Black Maria van. He would not enter the vehicle due to health concerns and demanded a proper prison van instead. The confrontation quickly escalated, drawing in his supporters who accused the DSS of flouting the court's order and manhandling the activists. A lot of videos online circulating. Let's take some time to watch them.
So you can see the DSS are here. They are here to pick Omoyele Sowore, but they don't really need to come this much. We are not violent people. They don't need to come this much to pick Omoyele Sowore. They want to pick Sowore. One of you can even come and carry Sowore. As a matter of fact,
colleagues, the judge in this court sent me to prison because he said I was absent from one day when he himself was absent the day before, and I went to look for a lawyer. The lawyer told him that he said he can't accept the lawyer's position. So he took the government position. It's the government of
You see inside the courtroom. Look at what they are doing to Sowore inside courtroom. Look at what they are doing. Look at what they do. It's DSS. DSS, look at what they are doing. Look at what they are doing. Look at what they are doing in the courtroom. Look at what they are doing in the courtroom. Look at what they are doing in the courtroom.
Revolution! Now! Revolution! Now! Revolution!
Now! Calm down, calm down. Calm down. Okay, I hope all the things, they broke my left hand. With the things that they stole from me, your people, I hope you have access.
Your glass is number one. I saw when they picked it up.
No shit. Baba? Baba? Over there. Hey, come on. Stop.
Wait now. Okay, calm down and cut this. Wait, relax. Let's go. Not one. Let's go. Relax. We are here. Allow the leader. He's in the custody of. He's in the custody of. Correctional Centre. That's what we wanted to hear. That's what we wanted to hear. So, yes,
not to be abducted and kidnapped.
No. Yes, he's not on that track. Stay away. He's not on that track. Stay away from him. Let's go. That's what we're asking for.
But tell your guys to
yes, exactly.
And there you have it, the DSS and the way in which Omoyele Sowore has been malhandled. And the question is, when the court gives a judgment and asks or says that, you know,
be remanded in prison.
He should be remanded in correctional facility. Does that automatically mean the court's indictment of guilt? Why do we treat people in this sense like criminals, in the sense that you're already making a judgment, you're already jumping into conclusion? Why does the DSS have to jump into the arena?
Whose responsibility is it to transport the
correctional facility?
Correctional facility.
Is it not Nigerian correctional
facility? Yes, the judge did not say that he should be remanded in the custody of the DSS. So why is the DSS jumping into the arena? Or DSS should be
responsible to transporting him to the correctional facility.
So why did the DSS jump into the arena? Is it because it's Omoyele Sowore? If it was somebody else, would they have acted differently? These are some of the questions to look at in this conversation.
There's a lot of questions to ask. I mean, I saw reactions coming from Nigerians, concerned citizens, and they said, we've seen cases of siphoning, stolen funds, especially from people in public offices, and we've never seen the DSS swing into action like this, drag them and throw them into a bus, or tell them it's time for you to face the penalties. Rather, it's showing, I mean, people have called it a different scenario where actions are not being meted accordingly.
Taking this case by its merit, because many might argue they were comparing apples and oranges just by its merit and following the order of his lordship, as you call it. Anyway, Jesus is the only Lord I know. Maybe that's why I don't go to court, because I will find it really hard. Maybe that's why I know in Yoruba movie, Oluwami, who is your Oluwa?
It's just the title.
No, I will find
it's not the name, it's just the title.
It's very personal.
If they arrest you and take you to court to go and give evidence, when it's time to address the court, if you like, no say my lord.
My lawyer will say it on my behalf, and I won't have any court case in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Anyway, back to what I was saying is that people might say, you know, you're comparing oranges and apples, but on the merit of this case, okay, you'll be remanded in prison custody, fine. Constitutionally, it's the duty of the Nigerian Correctional Facility to make that happen. So my biggest grouse here is, in the midst of everything that is happening in the country, do you know the amount of manpower that was deployed because of one individual that is not a flight risk? And I say it again, he is not a flight risk.
Sure, he's not interested in running.
Yeah, he's not interested in running. So why all of this? When we're complaining of insecurity, the other day News Central premiered a fantastic video of bandits in Katsina, bandit warlords in Katsina. And look at all of this. The kids are still in the bush in Orire local government, 38 days later. So you have all this state resources for one individual, but you can't bring out those kids in the bushes.
Yeah, even going too far. There's EID. IED, I beg your pardon. Just yesterday. There's also the case of insecurity in Abuja. People are complaining about the rise of insecurity. And then you wonder what's really going on. But let's get to see what Nigerians are saying.
Again, I mean, just to mention that I don't think there's any more to add to it. Is one, what is the role of the DSS? Is the role of the DSS to interpret court judgment when the court order doesn't concern him? Omoyele Sowore missed a day in court, and part of the excuse or part of the reasons was that he was consulting with a new lawyer because his counsel had dropped the case, according to reports, and then he was consulting with a new lawyer. He had also applied for the judge to recuse himself from the case, stating that, you know, he wasn't being fair. But of course, the judge struck out that one and then ruled that his bail application be revoked. He had applied for a stay of execution. So now we'll be hearing that the court will be hearing that tomorrow, and we'll know what the next steps are. But for now, you can see the video. The DSS swooped in to save the day. I don't know why, whether
it was the DSS that charged him to court in the first place. So they're an interested party, of course. But it doesn't mean they should carry out the judgment of the court.
There's a question.
I mean, if you take me to court and the court says, okay, remand him in prison custody,
I'm not the one that will come and remand you.
There's a term you...
A person cannot be a...
plaintiff and...
Defendant.
So when you take someone...
Prosecution in this case, because it's a criminal matter.
So you can't say, okay, yes, is my case, let me take him to Correctional Centre. It doesn't work that way.
Just to remind the DSS that we have a lot of issues with insecurity. Joe has mentioned some. We still need help with gathering intelligence to return our children and teachers who are still in the bushes. But let's see what Nigerians are saying about this on X, and then I'll come on YouTube to take comments as well. On X this morning...
Well, it says Nigeria a funny country. Sowore say you order Uber to Kuje. Let's go on. My goodness. Things are happening, no matter what he does. It's not as bad as what's happening in the country by people who have no shame, no sympathy, no regard for human life. But hey, what do I know? He says, another tweet very quickly, Saeed Mohammed says, tomorrow the same officers will be saying they are not paid
adequately
pension.
Paid, yes. So.
Yeah, you see why Nigerians are now tone deaf to statements like that. Sowore has been through a lot, man. He says, well, let's see. I mean, he knows.
That's an American man.
Man. Gabriel Ogbonna says, this where you see DSS in action because it's an easy work. They say that's why you see
Siri, play me Soft Work by Fowles.
You know, I just want to put it out there very quickly. Every time we document stories like this, either in writing, or either in presenting, or either in analyzing and putting 1 and 2 together in terms of reviews, you would ask yourself a question. And I think that statement is always, that word is always one that comes first. It's got to do with precedence. What are we setting? I remember during the 1993, remember the elections and so on, we remember what happened then. The elections came through, people were angry. The winner, we just celebrated, we just commemorated, rather, June 12. And then you wonder what is also going to happen in the future if it starts like this. What's happening with the judiciary? People have been asking that question. We've done an extensive analysis on Nigeria's judiciary just last week. If you didn't watch it, go on YouTube, you'll find that video. And then you're wondering what is going on, what's the way forward? In the future, if you can pick up somebody like this, it means in the future,
I mean, look at them, like fully geared up. This is battle ready in trench coats.
Yeah, the guns were there.
I want to take reactions on YouTube before we quickly head to our third story. On YouTube, Joseph Wagba says Sowore should decide if he wants to be an activist or a politician. These parts with security agents are negative content creation. Sometimes I wonder if he has a wife and children. You know, I kid you not. When I saw this one, I just thought for a minute how hard it must be to be Showore's wife. Like, because you know you don't know any minute like this.
The reason why somebody decides to take up a fight for the people, and then all you can do is, you know, throw brickbats at him and say, oh, why is he doing this? You should choose. The reason why we're where we are today is that if we had a million Sowores in Nigeria, I don't think the country would be in this sort of situation, because you sit in your comfortable house, you don't do anything about it. Somebody is doing something about the injustice in the land, is fighting for the rights of people, and the best you can do is criticize him for doing the same. It means you're enabling this system, this illegalities we're seeing, this injustice that has spread across the nation in every sector. So I don't think it's right to put the blame on him. Gani Fawehinmi did his best. He lost his life. Fela Kuti did. So we should encourage more people. I mean, Sowore can't speak for all Nigerians. We all have to be, we have to stand up for our rights and point out illegalities that we see and incidents of injustice in the land.
We certainly have to do that. Still on the comments on YouTube, Kelvin Honda said, this is a disgrace to our nation. The same DSS that will not be swift to arrest bandits and kidnappers are here disgracing themselves. Indices of a failed state with no recourse to the rule of law. Nigerian says, if you were in the shoes of the DSS and another was given from the top, will you disobey it? I'm just assuming. So, oh, you ask. No, I don't know that this is another from the top.
Yeah, I mean, that's another angle. He's saying,
even if it's from it's a wrong order. That person at the top should work constitutionally. I
mean, you have a security background. So, I mean, this is coming from the top. Or guy the top is saying.
So
no,
I'm saying
we are not saying that it's coming from the top.
Even if it's
he's saying he's assuming.
So
we're
assuming
that this is coming from the top.
The top should act accordingly and follow the constitution. The constitution is bigger than any other at the top.
Right.
Yeah.
Victor Okebata says DSS represents the very spirit of the present government. And Cisco, wow, is this here I come? Cisco says, if a man alleges that an umpire is not fair, the best thing for the umpire is to recuse himself from the case. DSS commonly all get up like they are there to arrest a terrorist. I completely see where Cisco is coming from.
That's shocking.
A party cannot be a judge in his own cause. If you come and allege that me, who is I'm the judge in a fight between you and Joe, and you come to say, oh, Olive and Joe take a drive to work every morning. For example, I don't want Olive to be here because Olive is not going to be fair. The fair thing would be for me to step aside for some.
She's partial. She has benefited from Joe's
Exactly. The fair thing would be for me to step aside. But this one, the judge by himself cancelled the order.
Inebeye was here.
No, it's not funny.
It's Inebeye was here. It's one of the counsels, the counsel to Sowore, as we look to wrap up. Inebeye said that when Sowore made that statement, I mean, in court, he's in court. The president is not in court. The president did not take him to court.
The person that should have been heard.
The Attorney General of the Federation did not take him to court. It's the DSS that came to take him to court. And
DSS, they're very fond of fighting on behalf of people that have not even been injured. Like the Serap case.
It's an eye service
where
spirit.
they said, yes, a spirit of eye service. Remember what happened in Serap?
Yes.
They now went ahead to mention, I mean, Serap didn't mention individual names.
The DSS is in our office, blah, blah, blah. Can they explain why they are in our office? DSS says, oh, you've embarrassed Lagbaja and co. This and this person. Only DSS went to go and do.
And then the court awarded 100 million damage against Sarah.
Let's be careful how we talk, because you can talk too much like this outside. DSS can be waiting for you outside the studio. I'm not.
We're doing our job, and I only fear God.
DSS, I'm not among go. We shouldn't be afraid of the DSS. They have a responsibility, and in that responsibility, you should not include, hampering on the rights of Nigerians. But let's share what our top stories this morning are on Breakfast Central. This morning on Breakfast Central, court remands Omoyele Sowore in prison after bail revocation. You saw the clips. We started the conversation this morning. I will go into it in depth. Fighting corruption, UK court clears Desiani Alison Madueke of bribery charges. Poor sanitation in Lagos community sparks urgent calls for government intervention. They're talking about a Lagos waste police.
Can Lagos still be called a center of excellence with that thing?
Residents have decried cooking gas price. It's time for us to maybe revert to firewood. The newspaper front pages will be reviewed, of course. Stick around for all these and more. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The acquittal of former Petroleum Minister Desiani Alison Madueke by a UK court is raising fresh questions about one of Nigeria's longest-running corruption sagas. After years and years of investigations, asset seizures, and allegations involving billions of dollars in public funds, a London jury has now cleared her of all bribery charges. But while the UK case may be over, the controversy is far from settled. In Nigeria, outstanding corruption allegations, asset forfeiture orders, and long-standing efforts by the EFCC to bring her back to face trial remain unresolved, setting the stage for a fresh debate over accountability, evidence, and the future of cross-border anti-corruption prosecutions.
Here's what you should know. UK prosecutors accuse Diziani of receiving more than £100,000 in cash, private jet flights, luxury properties, domestic staff, school fees and designer items between 2011 and 2015 in exchange for favorable treatment in oil and gas contracts. The EFCC has linked the broader corruption allegations surrounding her tenure to estimated losses of about $2.5 billion and has secured multiple forfeiture orders covering assets and funds allegedly connected to the case. In 2025, Nigeria confirmed the recovery of $52.88 million returned by the United States of America, while the EFCC has continued efforts to extradite Diziani to face outstanding money laundering and corruption-related charges.
Joining us is legal practitioner and public affairs analyst, and one who we hear was present in the court. We have Ilemona Onoja joining us. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
All right. It's good to know that you followed this case thoroughly from when the case had started up until the final verdict. So you could say what led to Nigerians asking questions. And the big question was why? But then again, the UK jury returned a not guilty verdict on all charges against Diziani Alison Madueke. From a legal perspective, what does this outcome actually establish, and what does it not resolve about the broader allegation? Let's start with that.
It establishes very clearly a position of not guilty, from where Nigerians must then begin to question whether all the salacious stories that we have heard over the last how many years, whether those stories are true in the first place. One of the shocking, before I say that, I would say this: if you followed this lawsuit, this trial from the beginning, had access to any of the court papers and read the proceedings, from very early on, you would reach the almost inescapable conclusion that a finding of not guilty was going to be reached. I predicted on quite a number of occasions in private that this was going to be a not guilty verdict. And the reason for that was because there was a shocking lack of evidence to substantiate the allegations. In paragraph 4 of the opening brief of the prosecution, one of the things said, in fact, paragraph 4 said very clearly, we do not have any evidence that Mrs. Alison Madueke illegally awarded contracts, did not follow the due process of law in the award of contracts, or awarded contracts to entities that should not have got them. In paragraph 5, the prosecution reaches an assumption. It says that people supposedly gave her benefits for the purpose of getting her to influence the favors in their direction. But this presented a substantial problem because none of those people was called as a witness in this court. None of those people was brought before the court to say that they expected her to not perform her duties properly in their favor. None of those people have ever been arrested or made to give statements to the prosecuting authorities. How then do you establish a case of conspiracy to commit bribery, for instance, or actual bribery, when you don't have one party able to say, I intended for her to be able or to fail to apply due process so that I can inure a benefit? Over the course of the trial, which lasted about 6 months and started in January and only ended a couple of days ago, over the course of the trial, we brought, you could see that the prosecution brought a long list of supposedly expensive items that were bought for Mrs. Alison Madueke. Let me shock you on one of those things. Several of those items that were supposedly bought for her were bought for her by one of the named people in the trial, were bought by one of the named people in the trial when she wasn't in the UK. There is no connection to her on a lot of those items beyond the fact that she knew the person who bought them and that they had gone to the shop together in the past before that. The prosecution were never able to establish that these items were taken to her properties. The prosecution was able to establish that these items were bought, paid for, shipped to the homes of the individuals where they remain to this day. The question then is, how was this a bribe? If you admit that there was no evidence of wrongdoing on her part, if you admit that there was no, you cannot establish a link to her directly, how then was this a bribe? For a lot of the trial, we were asking questions. Why are we here? Why are we here? It simply didn't make sense. I always believed that we were going to reach a finding of not guilty.
Well, so many statements you've made here about not, you always know, having made the prediction that we're going to reach a finding of not guilty. Coming back home, she does have some questions to answer at home, and it doesn't seem like people at home are letting up on the fact that, she has been acquitted by the court in the UK. What do you, if you then see that there was no link, that there wasn't any prima facie case that could be established and the prosecution could not establish their case, what do you think happened behind the scenes that led Desiani Alison Madueke to this case in court in the UK? And how do you presuppose that this will be handled when she comes back to Nigeria?
I know for one thing, and this is something that is going on here in the UK. I've heard several conversations about the questioning the NCA, and I'll say this before I quickly link it to Nigeria. Questioning the NCA, whether this was a worthwhile prosecution in the first place. Do you see what I mean? They have spent, if I'm not mistaken, this prosecution has cost the UK taxpayer about £30 million, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a question going on. There's a conversation going on in the UK about whether this was a worthwhile use of public funds. Now, we don't know how much it has cost the Nigerian taxpayer because we don't talk about these things that much. But seeing the shocking lack of evidence in this case, my question then goes whether this is a worthwhile use of public funds in Nigeria, whether it is worth it to continue to prosecute or to pursue a prosecution in Nigeria. I'll give you an example. Amongst the things that were taken from Mrs. Alison Madueke's house in Nigeria were documents that she held that proved her defense, that things that were purportedly bought for her were either refunded or reimbursed by the NNPC or by herself on a personal basis. Now, a lot of documents were taken from her house. In this trial, the EFCC, which collaborated the entire way with the NCA, the National Crime Agency in the UK, the EFCC was unable to produce one list of all the documents that were taken from her house. They came to court and said they took one investigator said they took 2 Ghana must go bags of documents. Another, and then the former EFCC chairman in his statement to the court, Abdurrashid Bawa, said they took 3 bags of documents from her house. So immediately there's an inconsistency. Where has one bag of documents disappeared to or been added from? Immediately there's an inconsistency. The second thing that was on this particular score was give us an itemized list of all the documents that were taken from her house. This list was never produced. They simply don't have it. Repeatedly, and this is very important, we only arrived at bribery charges towards the tail end of this entire investigation. On several occasions, the EFCC made allegations that it was simply unable to substantiate. So the charges went from corruption, improper use of office, and so on and so forth. They kept amending the charges until they finally stopped at bribery. The reason for the amendment was because at every point in time, they would say, okay, we've heard these are the charges. We've heard that you said she stole these monies. We've heard that you said she did this, that, and the other. Where's the evidence? And then there'll be no evidence. So they would have to go back, sit down, amend the charges until they got here. To my mind, it would be a waste of time to continue to pursue prosecution when there's simply no evidence to substantiate the allegations. And this is also very important. If there's no evidence 11 years after she left office, at some point, you have to reach the inescapable conclusion that this woman is simply not guilty of the allegations that have been leveled against her over the years. If you insist on not reaching those conclusions, the second conclusion that you must reach is that the government is simply incompetent and is incompetent to prosecute the allegations. And if the government is incompetent to prosecute the allegations or doesn't have evidence to substantiate them, why are we wasting taxpayers' money?
Okay, so the second part of the conversation is how this will be handled when she returns to Nigeria. You said that there was a lot of amendment of charges. You also did say that there wasn't any substantial case against her. Why I asked you is because there are those who have made speculations of foul play. Do you perhaps think that that was an issue here? And then the matter that she has to answer in Nigeria, I don't think that you've spoken about that. And how that will be received, how she will be received in Nigeria.
Let me ask, sorry, just clarify for me. When you say foul play, what do you mean?
Well, there are those who assume that there may have been ulterior motive. If there wasn't substantial evidence against her, there might have been an ulterior political motive. So do you think that this is political?
It is part of her defense was that obviously this was political, that she had challenged a cabal. It's not one of my favorite words, but that she had challenged the cabal in the oil sector, and that then sought to destroy her public image with these allegations. She did talk about her promotion of the Local Content Act, which was established by the Goodluck Jonathan and signed into law by the Goodluck Jonathan administration, and basically redefined the Nigerian oil sector to include private Nigerian players, local Nigerian players. This meant that local Nigerian companies were able to bid for contracts, were able to offer services within the sector that they typically couldn't have done before that law was enacted. And her contention was that once she pursued the enactment and signing of that law, the people who lost money on account of it then went on to pursue a campaign of calumny against her. By agreeing with her, by giving her a not guilty verdict, obviously the court was agreeing with that position. I mean, she also went ahead to give other parts of the other parts of her judgment, of her defense, sorry. Now, it goes back to what I said earlier. If we're there has to be only one thing that happens in Nigeria. Unless there is fresh evidence from somewhere that nobody has seen before, there has to be only one thing that happens in Nigeria. It's been 11 years since she left office. The only thing that should happen in Nigeria is leave the woman alone to live out the rest of her days in peace. Leave her alone to face, whatever it is that she wants to face. She hasn't worked for the last 11 years. She's basically been holed up in the UK. Now, don't get me wrong. The EFCC was a party to the proceedings in the UK. They provided evidence to the prosecution in the UK that was not shared with the defense. When defense attorneys wanted to come to Nigeria to view documentation, to view evidence, EFCC refused to allow them come to Nigeria. The office of the EFCC said no, documents couldn't be shared because of presidential privilege and such and such. Again, if EFCC as a party, as a witness, couldn't help substantiate this allegation in the UK, why should we believe that they can do so in Nigeria? Why? I don't know what anybody wants to say that this was not political. There were political motivations to it in the first place. She did cite that her role as a fundraiser for the PDP presidential campaign in 2015 did make her a target. In fact, she mentioned that there was a particular opposition member who looked at her and said to her face, "I'm going to destroy you." There are obviously political leanings towards this trial. And at some point, the politics simply have to.
Yeah, but let's, fair enough, but let's stay with what we know so far. For over a decade, Nigerian authorities, especially the current APC government, presented Diziani as one of the most prominent symbols of grand corruption. What does this acquittal in the UK, number one, say about the quality of investigations and evidence gathered by Nigerian agencies that form the basis of some of these international proceedings? Then number two, bringing it back home to Nigeria, the EFCC repeatedly claimed to have recovered assets, funds allegedly linked to Diziani, including properties and millions of dollars. If the principal defendant has now been acquitted in the United Kingdom, don't you think she should come back home and, claim damages and ask for fresh judicial review of her case?
If I was a lawyer advising her, I would tell her to pursue that line of action. But she's never retained me, so I'm not going to give that advice. She'll have to pay me. But if I was a lawyer, I would tell her to pursue that course of action. Let me tell you something. Have you ever wondered why, when the EFCC reports, or when there are reports of asset forfeitures, they say, apart from the items that were taken from her home, the report always is property linked to Diezani Alison Madueke. It's never property owned by Diezani Alison Madueke. Have you ever wondered why? Think about it. It's always linked to. It's never owned by. Why? That's because nobody can substantiate those allegations. So you have billionaire businessmen who spend their money. This UK case is an example. The named individuals in those trials went to high fashion or high-end shops and bought things for themselves, shipped them to their homes, shipped them to their storehouses, to their storage facilities. They remain there to this day. When the UK authorities completed investigations, a lot of these properties were simply given back to the owners. They've never been charged. So if investigations have been completed, properties have been returned to the owners enjoy the use of the properties to this day. The question then is, why are we chasing her? Why? I hear you mention the thing about, the cash forfeiture and the assets forfeitures in the US. Was she named in that pleadings? She wasn't charged there. Money belonging to someone was retrieved because the US courts found that the person violated legislation. The properties don't belong to her. It's literally written in the court papers. So we come back and we say, rather than say, this billionaire businessman lost money, it won't sell. The news won't sell. Or this billionaire businessman broke the law and has had to forfeit X amount of money. So we say a person linked to Diezani. But if there was an actual link, if there was evidence that said that she was involved some way, somehow or the other in the illegal movement of those funds, however you will, or however you want to frame it, she would have been named in the US proceedings. Was she charged in the US proceedings? Was she a named party in the US proceedings? The answer to that question is no. The asset forfeitures in Nigeria, where they say, properties, the properties are not, nobody has ever one day been able to say, this certificate of occupancy, look at Diezani's name on it.
So how did the
At some
EFCC
point,
then manage to secure these forfeitures and asset seizures?
There is one particular one where she has argued that, oh, hold on, this particular thing is mine. I think it relates to properties that were taken from her house. And she says, these things are mine. And she was, and she's entered into an appearance seeking to say, you know what, return my property to me. I've been a wealthy person all my life. I come from very good familial background. My husband at the time was also very wealthy. I, on account of my profession, and this was something she even said in court, I, on account of my professional career, I'm able to afford these things. Nobody has ever been able to point out to say that I acquired these things with any illegal funds. Return my money, my property to me. I think there is that one case where she's arguing that. Beyond that, question yourself, question a lot of these things. I think that this trial in the UK has to give us pause. As a country, we now have to question, really, what's going on? These allegations, what's behind it? Where's the evidence to substantiate these allegations? We have to question that. We do, because once you begin to question it, you will reach the same conclusion that I have reached, that I reached before this trial even started. You will reach the same conclusion.
Okay. All right. I think would allow time to actually tell more. I mean, generally, like they say, time would definitely reveal. But thank you so much for highlighting this other aspect concerning this particular case and story. I'm sure that the former minister, if care is not taken, will have to write a book, or would expect to see another documentary that will detail all of these accounts. But thank you for your time.
That is one thing. Well. One last thing.
Okay.
One last thing.
Yeah.
That is one thing that actually has to be discussed. There was a documentary that was produced and that was circulated about the proceedings in the UK, in the US. That documentary was the subject of a lawsuit in Bayelsa, I think it was. There's a judgment of court restraining the producers of that documentary from publishing it. The producers of that documentary went ahead and published it anyway, in contempt of court. There's an actual, it wasn't an interlocutory order. There's an actual judgment restraining and finding them guilty and finding them liable for defamation, I think, in the sum of 500 million or something like that. The producers went ahead and released that documentary. Anyway, that is just a microcosm of how people have approached allegations against this and Alison Madueke. You know what, we're going to do it. It doesn't matter what the law says. We're just going to say what we want. We're going to do what we want. It doesn't matter. We don't care what the consequences are. And they do this knowing that legal processes in Nigeria can be rather slow, or that there are loopholes that they probably seek to exploit. And same thing, if you hold on to the basis of the law, hold on to the basis of the facts, you reach the same conclusion that many people have been forced to reach on account of the judgment of the UK court. It's a shame.
Well, thank you so much once again. Thanks for joining us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Away from that story, and we could also see the comments, reactions to that story. Let's go on YouTube very quickly. Victor Okebata says, Desiani Madueke was a wealthy woman before she joined politics. She's in the class of Governor Makinde, who was worth 41 billion naira before he became governor. They were heads of departments in Shell. That's another angle to look at it. But the aspect, a new aspect that some Nigerians are starting to see, looking at it from a political motive, a political move. But let's move away from that story now and tell you that the continuous rise in the price of liquefied petroleum gas or cooking gas is taking a toll on many households across Nigeria, including yours. As families grapple with increasing energy costs, residents are calling for urgent government action to make cooking gas affordable and more accessible to households who are now forced to explore other alternatives amid the price hike. Our correspondent Blessing Akigbe compiled this report.
For many Nigerian households, cooking gas remains a preferred source of energy due to its convenience and cleaner environmental impact. However, recent increases in cost per kilogram has left many consumers worried, forcing households to adjust their spending or even rethink their cooking habits altogether. Speaking to News Central, residents say current prices are significantly higher than what they paid just a few months ago.
We that we use gas for business, before I filled 12 kg for 12,800, 12,500, but now we fill 12 kg amount of 17,000 plus. So you can see, honestly, it's not easy for us.
If I send 2,000, you say no reach. If I hustle, send 5,000. If they buy now 2 kg, CNG they cost, diesel cost, petrol the same thing, cooking gas. Waiting will do government.
The gas is not supposed to be like that, because now only that gas now be our hope. Kerosene no day.
They are really not encouraging people to use gas again. Yeah, we don't have to go back to our old cooking stuffs like firewood or the kerosene instead.
Others revealed the persistent increase in the price of gas have forced them to resort to traditional cooking methods, a development they say is affecting their finances, overall standard of living, and also the climate.
Like now, if we want to cook beans now, cannot use gas and cook beans, because if you want to use 1 kg now and cook beans, before you know it will get finished, you will not be able to cook any other thing. So we try to manage as the things we cook, like the light things that we can cook with the gas, so that it will sustain us.
Charcoal they buy 200 before, now charcoal now 500, because charcoal will know say gas don't increase. So now so price of charcoal increase.
Stakeholders say improving domestic production, distribution and affordability of cooking gas remains critical to increasing adoption and reducing dependence on alternative sources of energy.
The most important component in price presentation is cost of delivery. Cost of delivery, cost of production. What we call on the government to do is gasify Nigeria. We have the natural blessing for it. And so if we do have it, let's use the best and get ancestry.
As households continue to bear the burden of rising energy costs, many are hoping for policies that will stabilize prices and make cleaner cooking accessible and affordable for all.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has commissioned the Karu Water Supply Project in the Federal Capital Territory. The President, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, says that the project forms part of efforts under the Renewed Hope agenda to extend critical infrastructure beyond Abuja's city centre into satellite communities, ensuring access to clean and portable water for residents. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, added that the project reflects the administration's commitment to delivering measurable infrastructure, stating that water supply alongside road and other critical infrastructure remains central to ongoing urban expansion across the FCT. The project, which includes extensive pipeline networks, is designed to improve public health and socio-economic development in Karu and surrounding communities.
Honorable Minister of the FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike, brought the proposal for the Karu Water Supply Project. We did not hesitate. We knew that water is life, and denying our people clean water is denying them health, dignity, and economic progress.
Your Excellency, you recall that last year, when you were having the second year anniversary and commissioning the Abuja Greater Water Supply, you did say that we should move from the city to the satellite towns. And in the budget of 2025, under the national budget, included water supply to the satellite towns in Amak, Karu, and its neighboring communities, and also in Buhari area council. So you provided water for satellite towns in 2 area councils, Amak and Buhari.
Today is beyond commissioning a public utility, but also celebrating delivery of hope, happiness, progress, and improved public health. and above all, improving the quality of life of the people of Karo and the surrounding environment through supply of good, potable, and safe water. As he has mentioned, water is life.
Of course, share with you what's coming up next on Breakfast Central, but right after we take you through a recap of the conversations this morning. This morning on Breakfast Central recap, we looked at fighting corruption, the UK court declaring Desiani Alisimadueke acquitting her of bribery charges. And then we also talked about the cooking gas price hike and really how it choked for Nigerian citizens. Federal government commissions Karo water supply project in Abuja. We just brought you that report. Let's now take you on what is to come on Breakfast Central. Coming up next, court remands Omoyele Sowore in prison over, that is of course after bail revocation. Poor sanitation in Lagos community sparked urgent calls for government intervention in the state of aquatic splendor. Chatima commissions roads, honors Emir of Lafia at 70 in Nasarawa. Across Lagos, poor sanitation is fast becoming more than just an eyesore, but a public health emergency. From clogged drainage systems to uncollected refuse piling up in communities, residents are raising alarm over the risks of cholera, malaria, and other preventable diseases. The situation has sparked urgent calls for government intervention, with many questioning whether existing policies are enough to tackle the scale of the crisis.
Community leaders and advocacy groups argue that sanitation is not just a waste disposal, it's about dignity, safety and the right to live in a healthy environment. With Lagos being Africa's largest city, the implications of neglect are enormous. Join us this morning to help us unpack why sanitation failures persist and what practical steps the government and citizens must take to reverse this dangerous trend is co-founder of Rethinking Cities, Deji Akipelu. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Akipelu, and thanks for joining us for Breakfast Central this morning.
Thank you for having me here again.
Thank you for joining us.
So, Lagos State says it generates an estimated 13,000 to 14,000 tons of waste daily, yet many communities struggle with overflowing refuse, blockage of draining channels. From a systems perspective, where is the biggest failure occurring? Why are streets in such a terrible condition, especially more recently?
Okay, so of course Lagos has always had this challenge with waste management, but recent events that, just drive around the city of Lagos, you just see waste all over.
It's not looking like the center of excellence, looking like the center of garbage.
Yeah. It's a very sad situation. I think the immediate cause of what you're saying is what is going on at Olusosun, the partial closure of Olusosun. The government says they are trying to transition the facility to a waste-to-energy facility. And what you can say is, even when you drive through Olusosun, you see the large number of trucks who are waiting on the queue, struggling to gain access into the facility. And because of that, the PSP operators have not been able to do a quick round trip around the city of Lagos because of that partial closure and the request that they should go as far as Ekpe to go and dump their
Didn't they think this through or troubleshoot this sort of situation before engaging in such a closure?
That is a valid question, and that's something that the state government should be addressing, actually. So you're turning a facility to waste-to-energy facility, you want to do a partial closure. I don't know how the project management or the planning of that transition was done. You can't blindly close Olusosun and say, oh, you can't come and dump waste here. The access road is extremely bad, and now there's the rain. So you even see the trucks when they go in, they can't move.
And it's tight.
It's tight.
How was an alternative created when, that was closed?
Yeah, so That should be it. What's the alternative you're creating? The alternative is for them to go to as far as Ekpe. It doesn't, is not adding up for the PSP operators. I've spoken to some operators, the road, access road leading to the place, trucks breaking down.
I mean, the cost of fueling your truck to go all the way to...
You understand?
And I'm sure a lot of them are diesel engines.
Diesel engines. So I have a challenge with the way the execution of the energy to waste program being run at Olusosun is being done. So you see there are basically 2 entrances to Olusosun. You can go and see the 2 entrances. The platform is bad, the road is bad. There's this massive long queue. So when the state is responding and you start speaking about waste policing and all of that, while it sounds like something, a good idea, but you are not going to the source of the immediate problem that we have right now, which is the PSP operators moving effectively. Olusosun is partially shut down. How are you going to address the logistical nightmare that the PSP operators are experiencing at the dump site? That needs to be addressed.
But can we chalk down these challenges to just the partial closure of Olusosun? Pre the partial closure of Olusosun, we still had waste management.
Even on the island,
people were complaining that, yeah, there were people who complained that, oh, for weeks, PSP hasn't come to carry our waste. So how do we explain the challenges, the waste challenge that Lagos has had pre-Olusosun closure?
So on a broader scope, aside from this immediate cause, is the fact that Lagos doesn't have the needed facility and the logistics to manage the amount of waste that you have mentioned, 13 tons of waste daily. Let us even just accept that statistics as that, 13,000 tons of waste every day. That's an entire football field being filled with waste on a daily basis. So 13,000 tons, how many trucks do we have in Lagos to pick up 13,000 tons of waste? Lagos PSP operators, roughly, we have about 300 to 350. Loma itself has about 100 trucks. That's putting about roughly, let us just say 500 trucks with some donations that were made of recent, 500 trucks. Whereas to pick up that 13,000, you need close to 1,300, 1,500 trucks daily.
Wow.
So the system is already designed to fail. As far as
so this is where, I mean, questions arise. If you say the system is not working, it's designed to fail, but there was a governor in Lagos State who was able to pull it through, was able to pull it off. Talking about former Governor Fashola.
Yeah.
We saw his tenacity, how dogged he was when it came to battling issues of people dumping, refuse everywhere. At some point, he had to shut down a particular area, or remember the Oshodi incidents, remember the incidents in Lagos Island. But what we see here is like, ever since the governor left, what went wrong? What went wrong?
You see, Lagos has always had this waste challenge from my own perspective. Yeah, we can also remember the days of Governor Body, even when he tried to make his own cleaner initiative intervention.
With Visionscape,
Visionscape. Of course, Lagos has had waste intervention programs to try to solve the problem. And in fact, as far as I am concerned, the people who have even largely helped the system, when you say there is a break in between capacity and facility and all of that, is the informal sector, who has done a whole lot. Imagine if we don't have these guys who are picking up recyclables in the city of Lagos. Yesterday, I think over the weekend, I was filming in Yaba, Sabo Yaba. I'm doing a study on the Sabo Yaba market, and I discovered the recycling point just beside the market. If you see this large expanse of land and the amount of recycling being done by the informal sector, I said, if these guys don't exist to do this, I mean, I think we'll have more disaster in Lagos. What has really even worked, but yet demonized in the system, is the informal sector, who have intervened where your PSP operators have, when they refuse to show up, these are the people who have showed up. But we've had situations, okay, accusations, oh, they go and dump it in the wrong places and all of that. But they are the ones doing the heavy lifting. But what we've not sat down to think about is, okay, while these trucks, these PSP trucks, if you look at it, quite a number of communities, they cannot even have access to the roads. They cannot even even if you buy 1,001 trucks today, there are quite a number of communities that these trucks cannot even access. What we fail to do and try to understand is how do we integrate these small guys who work in these communities, who try to do this intervention to see how we can solve the problem through them. What we have thought of and we plan a whole lot is on the statewide mega city projects. You hear of recycling power plants project, the one being done in Mile 12, energy to waste and all of that. Yeah, all that is going on. But we need to begin to think of locally based initiative, community-based initiatives.
And talking about community-based initiative, because I don't think the government, I mean, it's gotten to a crisis level where the governor had to speak, and he came up with a series of tweets, and also the Commissioner of Environment, Honorable Tokunbo Wahab, has been speaking a lot lately. What the government's focus seems to be now is on the human factor, because we cannot deny that that is a contributory factor. So the Lagos State government is partnering with NURTW and Road Transport, RRTEAN, with the Ministry of Transport to help in enforcement. They've also come up with what they've called you know, at the federal level, they're talking about state police, but in Lagos here, we're talking about waste police. How far does that go in reducing the impact and the incidence of uncollected waste we have all over the metropolis? Or are we just addressing the systems and not the symptoms and not addressing the root cause?
Yeah, we're just addressing the symptoms, not the root cause. So usually for those who are in government, the human factor is usually the one that you can
low-hanging fruits
and say, yeah, people are dumping waste all over the place. And talk about Olushosu now and tell me what you're going to do about what's going on at Olushosu. You know, so that's always I call it the convenient truth. So you latch onto that, influx of people into the city of Lagos, people are coming
14,000 tons.
You know, you say all of that. Yes,
and then the 14,000 tons, it's not like it was 5,000 tons yesterday, then became
14,000 tons today. I didn't want to go into that. We've always quoted that 14,000 tons.
By now, Boya, it's close to 30.
So we don't even know the amount of what we're dealing with. Because what is supposed to be is that you're supposed to be able to tell me that at the dump sites, when these trucks come in, you wait them.
Yes.
When it's going out, you wait. So you begin to know and do that, but let's even leave that. But you're saying, okay, the human factor. The human factor is there. Yes, definitely. And we can do a whole lot with humans in trying to solve this problem. Waste police in Lagos is not new. It was launched some years or 2 years ago.
The fine, by the way, is 250,000. That's 3 or 4 times the minimum wage. How many Lagosians that are putting garbage in the median of these roads can affect them? Are we looking at more prison congestion?
So you see, you also now have to start asking yourself, how did we get here? You see, when you have a system failure, when somebody's waste, not justifying anything, we can't justify any wrong action. But when you yourself, you have failed in working effectively to provide a certain service, people begin to look for alternatives. One of the things that are broken on the community level in the city of Lagos is that quite a number of PSPs have not been able to reach an agreement with communities on how much they want to pay for pickup. So the big question in quite a number of low-income communities is, how much should I pay the PSP operators? The PSP operators will tell you, for instance, say, oh, we've just asked them to pay 1,500, 2,000, and they are defaulting. And the whole entire system of, oh, you pay once in a month. I've always said that you pay once a month, you know, then the PSP operator comes and they don't have that money that day. It becomes something. You have to pay later. And accumulation accumulation. We need to rethink how PSP operators are going to function in low-income communities of Lagos.
Is that the reason why they've looked at having the NURTW and other associations work together?
No, that one is, I think, is more of a disciplinary...
It's interesting. It's interesting. So the whole concept is, NURT operators, when you see people dumping waste,
what do you do?
Call us.
Are you sure they will call? Or they will take the law into their hands to arrest?
Number one,
they will arrest, then you pay
number
their
one,
own
we have a state government who had put in place the neighborhood watch before now. Part of the functions of your neighborhood watch is to understand the neighborhoods and the dynamics. There should have been a whole lot of intelligence gathering, feedbacks from the same institutions that you have created. You don't, even as I pretty much understand the concept around the NURT because I have used the NURT members to monitor black spots. We call them black spots in the city of Lagos. They'll call me, take a picture and say, okay, when last did the PSP operator? Yeah, I understand that concept. But it still doesn't solve it. It doesn't solve the problem. The waste is in their house. Nobody is coming to pick up. Even the people that have paid in organized communities are struggling. Even estates are struggling and saying we can't find the operators. So you really need to...
Just looking at the...
We really need to deal with the issue before you start attacking people. Like I said, it's the convenient truth for them. But you look at your system and have a definitive plan. Okay, if we only have 500 trucks as of today, how do we intend to increase it?
How do you intend?
Yeah,
Yes.
how do you intend to increase it? What is the plan? What are the opportunities for people to come into the waste management sector? What opportunities lies with local governments? If you see in Lagos, yes, like Etiosa local government chairman of recent, he's been buying trucks and all of that, and quite a number of local governments are trying to come up with their own intervention. But do we have a strategic way that we want these local governments to intervene? When you say 13,000 tons, 50% of it is food waste. 50%. Even plastic waste that we talk about is roughly around 10, 15%.
And that one is going to... I worry that the food waste and the plastic waste will still last a long time because we haven't even seen the implications of single-use plastic. Yes, the government is trying its best to kick against it.
Yeah.
But poverty is a factor that is kicking back. Food waste, we don't have power to be able to preserve a number of these things. That's why post-harvest loss, again, will contribute.
Yeah, post-harvest loss. Food waste from your own kitchen.
Yes, as well.
Yeah.
And we're not even recycling. You know, how well are we doing with the conversations about recycling?
So, of course, there's the strong argument. The state government will always tell you, and experts will tell you that we have to do sorting. We have to sort our waste. But I think it's a strong habit that people have picked up here that they are not sorting out their waste. But you have to create a system of reward.
Incentivize it.
Yes. You have to create a system of reward. Tell people, sort out your food waste at home, which makes up 50%. That means if half of it is already sorted out from the home level, and people get a reward for their food waste. So somebody comes to your house and food waste such as the back of your yam, tomato, and all of that, you can put it up together and it can be picked up in the neighborhood and it's taken directly to a facility.
That will process it.
That will process it to either compost, energy, whatever they want to do with it. So there is a business opportunity. You can see big figures here in terms of allocation.
Very
huge.
And the result is...
I mean, the result
it's not correspondent.
It's not correspondent.
It's not.
Because you are not being strategic about your investment. The investment into waste in Lagos should be able to create business opportunities for people, for communities.
Exactly. I was even thinking job employment.
It's also part of the value chain.
I was also looking, I remember, I mean, maybe to go back to the time of Governor Fashola, I remember I saw some very young ladies who were driving the small trucks, small garbage trucks.
Yeah.
Many of them in numbers. And I asked myself, I'm like, wow, okay. I did approach one of them and it said, yeah, that there's a platform, you sign up. It's like you bring your own truck and so on. I wonder what happened. I heard it was terminated during the Ambode time or something with the new process and so on. But if we have this budget, the budget we saw on the screen, and Lagos, as we hear, the internal generated revenue alone is huge. The federal allocation, over 2-point-something trillion and so on. And yet, we still battle with this smelling, dirty environment and so on. In your own view, what can be done now? Because it's rainy season.
Urgently.
It's rainy season. We saw how the dirt were floating in the water, and people were, so we're expecting an increase in health crisis as we look at it. The pandemic is coming.
Yeah. So in the immediate, you have to look at whatever is going on at Olusosun and rethink whatever is being done there, so that at least you can move back to status quo of where some maybe a year or two ago even is not a perfect situation. But like you said, one of the things that we've been so much vexated on is, as a government, is we have to think of megacity projects or megacity interventions. That's where you hear of so many MOUs being signed, somebody has to come. Whereas the real work that is being done is by the people on the community level. And those are the kind of initiatives that you need to begin to truly push. I'm not talking about waste picking exercises that people do ceremoniously. You begin to look at the green jobs opportunity that exist on the local. You were talking about the women who are the small stuff and they sign up. That is exactly it. You do things in such, you do look for low cost, high impact that you can drill down, that local governments can connect to. Local governments shouldn't try and do the same thing that Loma is trying to do. Just go into communities, buy trucks, go into communities and pick up waste and try and take it to the landfill. No. You have to do it, they have to do it in another way. They should support recycling initiatives. Target food waste generation and its collection. And begin to create community facilities that can turn these things to compost, for instance. Lagos now, we talk about food insecurity, we talk about high cost of food. Do you know that from your own food waste that you're generating in your kitchen, you can grow your own tomatoes and your onions? In a very organic way, farm to table. Waste reduction, while you say, of course, when you talk about the amount
But would the farm be in my house, or there will be a farm somewhere?
You can, people, of course, the quick reaction is always, oh, where's the space to farm?
Exactly.
Do you have a wall in your house? There's a fence?
Right, yeah.
On top of the fence?
Right, even on the wall itself, you can farm.
You just hand.
You know shoe racks?
Yeah,
you know shoe racks that used to be like. There are things that you can plant into those shoe racks and put plants in it.
That's true. I have one corner in my balcony that can plant like pepper and onions.
It's not yam and big food.
It's not.
That's why I feel like pepper.
Don't go and break the walls of Jericho.
Pepper, onions.
You see, the whole idea.
But I saw that video too.
You see, the whole idea of we have to, what would encourage people? We can't just tell people to just change. You have to begin to introduce them to new realities and to say what is possible. So you are complaining about the cost of tomatoes. Do you realize that the waste that you have generated that the state has not come to pick up, you could have actually used it to plant your own tomatoes?
Yeah,
By so doing, one of the principles of waste management in the cities, when you have struggle, you can't buy 1,300 trucks. The state will tell you, even though internally generated revenue has increased, they can't buy. We have to look at strategies for reduction. And food waste constitutes a whole lot out of all of this. So there's a new level of education. So it's not just government mounting it and saying, oh, separate your waste, separate your waste towards what? Towards food, towards energy.
And it's very possible to do that too.
As we wrap up.
Thank you.
I do appreciate your expertise and you coming here to talk to us. And I'm wondering, the government has access to the best brains in terms of human resources across the country to offer advice and organizations like yours. How do what's the global best practice for managing? Because there are mega cities. There's Tokyo, there's Beijing, there's Jakarta, Indonesia, there's Kuala Lumpur. How do they manage it and what can we learn from them?
Waste management requires a whole lot of investment. And if you do the mathematics, they'll tell you that it's not. But what I would say that we're not taking advantage of is the extended producer responsibility, whereby producers of plastic, for instance, are responsible for the end of life of their product. We're allowing them to do it voluntarily, whereas we're supposed to be setting targets.
Policies, mandating
them so that they can provide the necessary finance that you need to actually put in place this infrastructure. Why is EPL still voluntary in the city of Lagos? It should be mandatory. So if you produce 1,000 bottles of plastic in the you put into the system, this year, are you going to collect 100 back? And what is the amount of money you're putting on the table to collect that 100 back?
Yeah.
That is where you can get finance from. I know that we are going all over the world now, climate finance and all of that. You know, everybody's trying to look for carbon credits here and there to finance infrastructure. But these are some things that you can implement in Lagos today. Mandate it that those who pollute the environment should be made to pay for it, not voluntarily. Enact it as a law and set performance standards. Tell them this is how much you have to use to call back this. With those funds, you can build the necessary intervention, you can do community intervention, you can help the small-scale recyclers within the communities to actually get on board and do the work.
Deji Ekipelu, co-founder of Rethinking Cities, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to a cleaner Lagos. As you know, we're bringing Sierra, we're hosting E1 Racing, Lagos Invest in Lagos 3.0. You can't bring all these people from around the world to a smelly and dirty city. Let's do better. So it's a collective effort for all of us. Stay with us. We still have quite a lot to unpack this morning on Breakfast at Central. We'll be right back after this quick timeout.
Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Residents of Mushin, Lagos experienced a security scare on Monday after a distress call alleged an explosion and the possible presence of an improvised explosive device in the area. Witnesses reported a loud blast at the shoe materials market when the vehicle was started, prompting panic among traders and residents. One individual sustained a minor injury but has since been stabilized, we hear, while the market was temporarily shut down to allow investigators to work. We also do hear that the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State, Tijani Fatai, came to the scene alongside members of the police squad to ensure that normalcy was indeed restored. But we do have our guest who's joining us here this morning, one who has followed the insecurity issues, not forgetting to current affairs and matters affecting every citizen. We have public affairs analyst Mr. Theophilus Akatuba join us this morning. Thank you so much for making it here into the studio this morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be
here. Morning, Mr. Akatuba.
Very, very interesting. Yeah. I mean, all through the time, even when we talk on the front pages of the newspapers, we look at insecurity issues from the north. We've combed around the Middle East. We've looked at, did I say Middle East? I beg your pardon. The Middle Belt. We've come down to the southwest. And here we are in Lagos, Mushin to be precise, an explosive device. What do you make of this in terms of
where we're going? For alarm.
Well, Lagos has been a bit complacent, and so we need to wake up to the reality of a big city. We live in a bustling city, so many people crowded in a small space. And mischief makers also will grow along as we progress. And all cities in the world, there is always, security threats. It is only for security operators and the security system to be ahead of the criminal-minded elements. And citizens must also be very vigilant because these are not, this is, you know, what we see can be, because if you put such a device, is there an intention to kill that individual?
Yes, so that's the question.
You understand? Is there a private, you know, battle between who owned the car? So this is my worry. So the police are investigating, and we should not speculate enough to, you know, to water down the outcome of the investigation, so that they should understand the source of this. Where did it come from? Are these things acquired in the open market? Is there a place where you can easily, or do you produce them? Is there a laboratory in Nigeria, or are we having an entrance of the northern elements, especially ISWAP, coming into Lagos to cause scare? Because we've been seeing activities of insecurity coming in from Kwara to Oyo, now, you know, getting close to Lagos. So I'm looking at it and beginning to think that it's too early to pin it down to something. But citizens have to be very vigilant.
Well, you say that it's too early to pin it down to something. I completely agree with you, because so far the only information we have is someone who moved within the area 3 months ago, parked his car, went there in the morning to start the car, and the explosive went out on the passenger side and injured him. Now, that area has also experienced some form of explosive going off last year, and that was when one, what they call them, iron condemn, Scavenger, thank you.
Iron Man.
When a scavenger, you know, took hold of a grenade and was trying to put it apart, you know, break it down, and then he didn't realize it was a grenade. Killed him, injured some other people. What is the time frame for us to expect reasonable, or what's a reasonable time frame for us to expect feedback from the police? Because until we know what this is, we can't, even when they say it's safe,
just move on.
We can't just move on from it and guarantee safety.
I think it shouldn't be less, it shouldn't be more than a week. The police should immediately make a statement, because that's the only way you can calm citizens and assure them of the fact that you're on top of the game. We also need to look at that area. We hope that mischief makers are not doing something in that community. Are these devices being made in that area? Are people under the guise of iron condemn or using metals, creating things in that area? Just like you saw that even kidnappers can use our neighborhood to keep kidnapped victims. You might just be in an estate and the victims of kidnap are within the same area, as where we saw in the case of Evans, where he showed us where he kept people. A very active community. And the Adelabu sister was also found to be in a very, you know, active community. So the police should dig deep and see what are the business activities in that area. Are there people who are playing around with these devices in this community? And so for me, it should not be more than a week for the police to make a definite statement of what this or how come this is happening.
Now, Mr. Akatuba has often said that security is the collective responsibility of everyone.
Yeah.
What should members of the community be on the lookout for, especially in times of heightened insecurity like this? Not just Lagos, but everywhere.
Now, the citizens should be...
Without necessarily profiling people, because
the citizens should be vigilant. It's vigilance that's the watchword. Secondly, the police should also enlighten the people of what type of things we'll see that we should raise an alarm, instead of, because I don't know how it looks like. And I'm sure a lot of people do not know.
I agree.
And so if you don't show us that, if you see a device like this, something that is beeping, show us something so that when we see a thing that looks like it, people can easily raise alarm. Even the guy that entered the car could have spotted it. Maybe he thought it was just something that was insignificant or that doesn't need anybody's attention. And that could be the real deal. So I think we should be enlightened, because that is the only way you can mobilize your citizens against a danger. If you don't tell them, if you don't enlighten them, we're all going to walk right onto them.
Talking about enlightenment, I spent a good part over the weekend watching the National Television Authority. And most of the adverts I saw were particularly from ministries, ministries, and then, of course, the election, and then not forgetting to the flagging off of new constructions and so on, buildings, properties, infrastructure. The Nigerian Orientation Agency, how would you say they've played their part? And how would you say some of these security agencies have also played their part in enlightening citizens, especially like what you said, looking at helping them learn.
Yeah, the quality of enlightenment of our citizens is directly proportional to the effort of our citizens are, grossly ignorant, and we are not patriotic. We are not mobilized for the national cause enough, and that's because there's not enough money for the agencies to even, implement their work. Many of the offices of the NOA... Would
you say enough money, or would you say it's a case of just neglect? It's not seen as being important.
Well, there could be neglect, but they don't even have enough money until this current NOA that was able to even invest money in private stations. NTA was only doing their business. NTA, FRCN, and
government-owned
Voice of Nigeria.
Yes, and those stations had a very
limited
reach,
wide reach, but limited.
So I believe that the National Orientation Agency should up its game, because we are in a very difficult situation. We are faced with insecurity. We are faced with very difficult economic circumstances. And when you have all of this together, you can only expect, very more
I've not seen them on social media either.
Because I think they need to expand the use of the media to reach out to the citizens. One thing they need to do, they need to partner with the NBC, because I believe that broadcast houses have been licensed and they are holding these licenses in trust. And I also think that they should be able to have a national budget to support these media houses, and they must also give in return 5 minutes or 10 minutes daily for national messages. Okay. There's a way this can work together.
Good strategy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that you are not holding license and leaving the nation in peril, when you can use your media to help in even voter enlightenment. But what do we get in return? We can get a national budget. We have TV licenses going to local government. All of these monies can be harnessed and be plugged back to every broadcast house in percentage share. And that means there's this regular funding from citizens who pay TV licenses. But what are we doing with it? So I spoke to Lai Mohammed. He found it very brilliant. I had 2 meetings with him, one in Lagos. I spoke with the NBC DG. I said, look, you have the money. The broadcasters should not even go. There are many times they do programming that do not attract sponsorship, but they're just for public interest. How do they get your support? You just give them licenses, you charge them annual renewal fees, but you have so much to do.
Okay, I want us to talk about go back to the insecurity conversation and talk about the citizens that were kidnapped in Oyo and Borno. 39 days. 40,
I think now.
Well, no, since it was on the 15th.
Yeah.
16 days in the remaining from that month, and we're on the 23rd day.
Okay.
So if after 39 days, we haven't had anything about them being returned, being returned to their families, where do we go?
We should, first thing we must do is to repent from hypocrisy. Leah Sharibu, no one is counting days. There are many people who are victims of kidnapping. So counting 40 days for Oyo and Borno becomes political. And that's why I'm saying they should not politicize kidnapping and abduction of our citizens. If you count days, who is counting Leah Sharibu days? She's still there. She has not been found. And many other women, including persons who are held all over the country. And so I think let's not politicize it. Where do we go from here? It's for us to have this usual focus and support for one another to get them. We cannot, because if you are counting days, so are we counting it for ourselves, or we're counting it against somebody?
It's our wish that, these people, and like you rightly said, everyone, not just everyone on the kidnappers then should be released. But, Joe, Oliver and I are powerless in this situation. We don't have guns. It's not our responsibility to go in there. That's why we're asking these questions. What do we do?
Well, we continue to support. That's the only way we can support our security agencies. Because whether we like it or not, there's somebody on the beat. There's somebody who's been asked to bring the girls out, who is heading and leading a team. We don't know who they are. What can we do with them? If I put him under pressure, if I make him not to remain focused, if I remind him of failing, then he will only think of failure. We need to rally around as a people.
What standards are we holding them up to?
We hold them to the
it's 40 days. No, I cannot decide not to do my job properly for 40 days and I'll still remain in a job.
No, I want you.
First of all, try one day.
No, what I'm saying, you see, let me explain to you. You are given all the support to perform. And you are discharging your responsibility.
And they are too.
The man who is asked to...
We're currently running the highest defense budget in the history of Nigeria.
Yes, and that is where I have a problem. The more money you throw at defense does not guarantee defense. Defense is not money. Defense is a decision for the people to defend themselves. The more money that has gone in there, the more the problem festers.
But these monies are supposed to be used to purchase high-tech equipment, drones.
They are supposed to be used.
So what happens?
No, first of all...
Whose responsibilities?
No, first of all, what is 5 billion? Is it 5 billion we have now? What's the amount? 5 trillion? Whatever amount you are spending, convert it to dollar and check the amount of one of those drones. And how many of them can you buy? And then the amount, how much of it go for the personnel?
So
how much of it go for housing?
Mr. Akatugba, let's hit the...
You will now discover that you never have money to buy enough of those. That's why when you find out that we were so handicapped and the kind of bomb, the amount of missiles that the U.S. used, one price of one. If you look at the new service chief, they told you, I told you here that we don't have enough resources for the conflict and the problem Nigeria is dealing with. You must seek partnership and you must continue to work with.
But we're partnering with the
US, exactly.
The level of partnership is commendable. We need to just increase. For now, it's good, but not enough.
But what's the other issue of, sorry, Olive, what's the other issue that we also have? I mean, they're missing funds. Missing funds
will always be a recurrent decimal where the Nigerian enterprise is playing. We will keep fighting.
Accepting
I'm
failure
not accepting.
and dysfunction.
I said we always be. I'm speaking to you about, you are asking me a question.
Right.
If I tell you, okay, missing fund, what have you done about the previous ones? What are you going to do about the one that are missing? The focus is we have the budget, our defense system that we are not probing. They don't give account. Is it not already a misnomer?
Okay, away from the missing funds, we'll come back to that. I want to still go back to the partnership with the U.S. What would you say has been the benefit of the partnership with the U.S.?
First benefit is that it has it's made anyone who could be behind it to be a bit circumspect.
Well, the evidence speaks contrary to that, because we've seen a spike in attacks. So if you were thinking otherwise, you wouldn't increase your attacks.
No, do you have spike? That means what was prepared could have been worse.
We don't know that.
No, because it didn't happen. Maybe what danger we were faced with could have been 2 times what we are seeing.
There was some sentiment expressed to even the December attacks, the December strike by the U.S. government.
I hit an onion field.
You know, the question was, what was the impact of that? Who did they hit? Where is the evidence to that effect? And can we really say that this partnership with the United States has really helped Nigeria? If you're saying that it's made them circumspect with their approach, we have been seeing more and more cases of kidnappings since this year. I would argue, or many people would argue, that this year we've seen even more cases being reported than we have in the previous years.
But Mr. Akatugba is saying that if the U.S. didn't come,
if U.S. partnership is, you see, kidnapping is a different crime. No. It's a different crime from terrorism.
Well,
you know, kidnapping is another business enterprise. It's a criminal business enterprise that has first. Take a look at the men and women, the men that were arrested in Edo State. They do not look like people who are terrorists.
Okay, so even when we're talking about
terrorists don't look like terrorists.
No, they do. A terrorist.
They don't usually write it on the face.
I'm coming. If you find the terrorists, the way they are clouded. When you look at the boys that are kidnapping, we say Fulani people kidnapped. We branded them during Buhari era. Oh, they were the.
So that's another issue.
We labeled them and stereotyped them. Then all of a sudden we start seeing other forms of people, even Southerners, Easterners, caught in kidnapping. A lot of people caught in there. So what I'm saying is, let us know that if you travel a road and you travel safe, you did not know how many accidents were avoided. Whatever we are doing, we should not water it down. We should know that it adds to layer of protection.
That is what I want to say. I get your point. I get your point.
Because we say it didn't benefit us. Then it means we should come back and cancel our relationship with the U.S. and go back to being by ourselves.
What is commonsensical is this. For example, this is a national issue. It's been on even international news platforms. The Oyo kidnappers, these are kids. I mean, terrorists, you even have some sort of decency. You don't go against soft targets. Like, I'm just saying. So then you have United States of America with its level of expertise and experience, and the the Delta Force SEAL Team 6 that has a history of extraction, moving people out, and you have an active military agreement, even on an advisory capacity, and the platforms they have. They're MQ-9 Reaper drones that are sitting somewhere in Bauchi. Those MQ-9 Reaper drones can read a plate number in Ogba from 60,000 feet up. Why have they not been able to help with intelligence? It's 40 days. If you look at what sort of partnership is it?
If you look at the thrust of their presence and their involvement in Nigeria is on the basis of Christian genocide, Christians being attacked, and or you're kidnapped.
Mr. Katuba, we ask a question.
There is a structure.
Another page.
No, there is always a structure of engagement. They see it only as a crusade to protect Christians. It's a different ballgame. Coming in to look at all your different levels of crime, a crime in Ibadan, that's not U.S. enterprise undertaking with Nigeria. They are not in country with us to look at what's happening in Niger Delta. No, they're looking at Christian genocide. Anywhere Christians are being attacked or whoever is planning an attack against Christians, that is the thrust of U.S. engagement in Nigeria.
Okay, we've looked at that. Let's look at the role of the media once more. Let's piggyback to the communication aspect. I'm more concerned about how information is being shared. We've talked about this many times. You've met with the Minister of Information way back. You've spoken with the authorities in terms of communicating properly. It's barely 24 hours since the IED issue. We haven't seen any information being shared. We haven't seen a press conference being called either by the CP himself, either by the a commissioner of information in Lagos State, either by the state governor himself. Do we continue in this way and then still say that we are a country that is advancing in democracy? Let's even leave democracy. Sometimes I feel we embody everything, including our lapses, on that word democracy, just to paint a picture. What is the same thing to do? That's another conversation I want us to really look into. 24 hours gone, or not yet 24 hours.
That is part of the lapses, the inefficiencies that we suffer on a daily basis. You know, you cannot have this level of inefficiencies at the micro and macro level and expect the society to be healthy. If we are still left in the limbo as at now, like you said, you see, and that tells you that many things that happen, there is more to them than even the explanation that are given sometimes. And this is why you give room to speculation. And Nigerians, they wallow in speculation.
Twitter
is too much. And when people wallow to this extent, that's why you see, when I was in Ghana, and somebody called me and said, why are you guys all over the place in the media so much negative about Nigeria? In the media space, in terms of social media. Why will they not be like that when they are not properly carried along, informed, given orientation? Especially now that you have an avalanche of media channels. Your voice must be loud. If you are not louder than the avalanche of uncontrolled information, then the uncontrolled information becomes the story. And this is what Nigeria is suffering from.
So what should have been done now?
Immediately there must be a press from the police.
But we don't, so that's another thing that we don't have.
We have the police, but they're also trying to see whether should we go on and say what we have found out. Someone needs to vet. Don't you see the whole
every
thing?
Wednesday.
Let me not say one thing. Let my guard talk. Don't say another
Every
thing.
Wednesday, there's a media parley at the State Police Command.
Must we wait to Wednesday?
And the commissioners of police normally just use it to show guns, how many people they've arrested in the last week, show of work. So I guess we'll have to wait till Wednesday, or they have to increase the frequency.
They're supposed to make, if on the day he visited,
as a matter
supposed to give us a preliminary position and assure the people
this is what we found.
The next day, it must be a daily briefing of progress.
And to think about it, is it, I mean, I'm happy we're looking at the media's role again. Or is it also a strategic way to kind of like ensure the story is pushed below because of the status and because of the level of cognizance Lagos wants to maintain. So, you know, investment, portfolios, fear. So, you know what, let's just keep the story.
To kill the story is even worse because as soon as that news comes out, every investor will keep tab of it. Why you think you kill stories, they don't die anywhere. You need to speak and resolve them. And that is why the media here too, stories come and they disappear too quickly. Stories are supposed to be sustained.
Tell me about it. All they say, tell me about it.
They disappear too quickly.
Yeah.
Everybody here is breaking news, but we don't follow the news till it's conclusively resolved. We just break and leave them. So breaking news every day, but the news is not sustained. You know, when a public official is caught for corruption, his story is not followed. The Zioni's acquitter is not as popular as all the trials.
Anyway.
Okay. I think that will be all that we have at this moment regarding this. It seems like you have some thoughts on Desiani before we wrap up.
Myself? Myself, yes.
You.
I said you. Yeah, because you just said Desiani now.
What I said, the news was big, that she stole money and she's corrupt and she's facing trial. And then as soon as the UK jurisprudence says she's cleared, it appears she's also cleared at home
like
and abroad.
you said,
but the story has just died.
UK jurisprudence.
Yes.
Yeah.
They said she's free.
So
Nigerians are more concerned with the Nigerian aspect.
Are you? Do you believe that her being arrested and all the claims were made against her were political? Or do you believe
No, I believe that she's culpable, but the jurisdiction does not have enough information.
Okay, quick one, Mr. Akatuko. Before you go, I just want to pick your brain on this. The United Kingdom in Nigeria, the UK government, said that we welcome the most peaceful conduct of the Ekiti state election and congratulate Governor Yebanji on his re-election. We note concerns of accessibility for voters with disabilities, instances of vote trading, technical issues with BVAS at the polling units, but they welcome the peaceful conduct and they've given their verdict. Will the UK subject itself to the Ekiti standard? Will they accept what they're saying they welcome?
Well, UK is very advanced democracy.
So we should not be advanced?
No, we are going there. I expect that, you know, what I see the opposition do is that when the elections are coming up, everyone is trying to rig the same election, and he will rig most, the other will start, you know, crying foul. It's going to take time. The vote buying has become very, very, very dangerously entrenched, and I'm this is where the media need to own this space and dig themselves deep in informing the citizens. The media must invest their airtime, their resources in enlightening the citizens. The citizens are easy to sell.
So is the UK right to endorse?
Yes, they are to the extent of peaceful. That's what they said. And they noted that a few rigging here and there, but to them,
can you congratulate a British Prime Minister that was elected off the back of vote buying?
Even in the British society, there's nothing foolproof. It's just that they don't. You see,
so they shouldn't subject us to standards that they won't accept.
I think we tend to rubbish our gains because there's one fault or two. A nation, no system is foolproof. The difference between the West is that they sustain their society while dealing with their challenges.
Okay.
But here we accentuate our challenges.
So that means they also have challenges like vote buying. They carry one in Ghana was good.
Rishi Sunak gave PISA.
Have you seen what Donald Trump has been doing? But anyway,
I'm not around.
So they give in Ghana must go. Wow.
Richie Sunak?
Ghana must go.
He carried them in Ghana must go. He was dashing the people.
Okay, and then they give them malt.
Like the way you give rice.
Malt and
I'm not around. I'm not involved.
And sausage.
I'm not there.
Sausage.
I really wish we had more time to have a conversation with you. I would have really loved if we had enough time to talk about the repatriation of Nigerians from South Africa.
Our time is up, Olive.
The woman was saying, repeat after me. Thank you, President.
Our director, yes, we need to talk
about
that.
We need to talk about her.
Our director is already compared, and it's somebody I don't really like that. So let's.
Which of the directors?
Who is talking to you?
It sounds like Tunde Raji.
Somebody like that.
We'll go to the break. We'll come back. Stay with us.
All right.
I mean.
Welcome back. Before we go straight to the front pages of the newspapers, let's inform you that troops of the Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai have rescued more than 47 persons, mostly women and children, who were held captive by ISWAP terrorists in Kangarwa, Kukawa local government area of Borno State. The rescue we hear was carried out following sustained military offenses against terrorist enclaves in the Lake Chad region. We do have our correspondent is following this very closely in Borno State. Umaru Kirawa joins us this morning. Good morning to you, Umaru Kirawa. Thank you so much for making it here this morning. Please let us know what the update is, especially with the victory, the numbers recorded by the Nigerian military.
Yes, it's a good news that 47 captives have been rescued by the military, just like the 360 families of Ngoshe in Goza local government area of Borno State were rescued. So it's a very good news to the people of the state and, of course, by extension, the country. And most importantly, the military forces and also humanitarian organizations are also supporting these families in terms of psychosocial support and medical care to ensure that they have been reintegrated back to the community healthier, peacefully, and without any fear of anything within the community. So basically, the security forces are taking care of the rescued families at an unidentified location, medical support.
Okay, the Northeast seems to have recorded this success, especially from the military. But can you tell us definitely what the theater commander, Major General Abdusalam Aburka, has said to get the military up and running to ensure that they bring some form of succor to the people?
Yes, the theater commander of Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, has been persistent in terms of assuring frontline troops that their welfare will never be derailed, and the security forces will continue to support them with all the armaments, with all the necessary wherewithal to ensure that they stabilize the Northeast region, and of course, by extension, the Lake Chad, because in recent times, the operation of the military alongside other security forces have been hovering around the Lake Chad region, where we saw so many insurgents have been killed. Some of the captured victims who are detained by the terrorists have been released. So largely this is what the theater commander has been saying, and we have been to different front lines with the theater commander. We've been to Goshe, we've been to several locations, and one message he continues to deliver is troops' welfare will never be derailed, as has been affirmed by the Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Defense Staff, and of course the President, and most importantly, the support they are getting from the Borno State government under the leadership of Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, as well as assuring citizens that their peace is the priority of the military and all security forces, and continuous intelligence sharing, timely intelligence sharing is critical in their operation. Hence, calling on community members to ensure that when they see something, they should say something to the military and any other security outfit that is close by to them, so that these things, this madness can come to an end and people can go back to the pieces of their lives, go back to farm, people can access school, people can, the socio-economic activities that is well known with Borno State, sharing border with Niger, Cameroon, and Chad, can really continue in peace and harmony.
Now, finally, Umaru, before we let you go, it seems that troops of the Operation Hadinkai have changed strategy, and it's more of taking the fight to this terrorist element. They are on an offensive. How are the people of Borno State coping, and what's happening in hotspots, places like Goza and other areas that have seen insurgent activities in the past? Internally displaced people coming home, what has happened to farming communities that were lost Are we seeing a restoration of confidence in the citizens?
Well, both natural, because of the successes being recorded by the military and other security forces, the DSS, the Air Force, and other security forces, the local vigilantes, very importantly, the civilian JTF hunters and vigilantes have been critical in this cause, and so many communities have been resettled, and people are picking up the pieces of their lives gradually. People are going to the farm. People can access some schools, although some schools are still burned down. I was in Musa last week. We went to the school that was burned by terrorists, and we spoke with the communities. They raised concerns and appealed to the federal government to ensure the deployment of security outposts in the community in Kwatikari of Chibok local government area and other communities. Yes, there are successes and peace is taking root in different communities in the Northeast, but however, there are still challenges. That is why the military is insisting that community members have to liaise, have to cooperate with the security forces so that this madness of terrorism, this unfortunate retrogressive activities of terrorists can be nipped in the bud and people can continue with their means of survival, means of livelihood that used to be a very peaceful place where people can travel to any location at any time, from Goza to Bama to Banki to Kirawa to Adamawa to Niger to Chad and even to Central Africa. So this is the situation largely, and yes, there is similitude of peace in larger chunk of the state and the Lake Chad region, but there are still challenges that really need to be nipped in the bud.
All right. We hope that these challenges will be nipped in the bud. America, thank you for bringing us this report this morning. To stay safe, we look forward to connecting with you again during the course of the week. We'll now bring the conversation back into the studio as we review the papers this morning, and joining us to review the papers is the director, the chief editor of the Nation newspaper, Mr. Ikechukwu Amechi. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
It's editor, not director.
I corrected myself now.
Thank you. And Mr. Amechi, if anyone has never told you this before, I want to be the first.
It's okay.
To tell you that
he's your favorite analyst.
Oh my goodness. In the world. For now.
Let's go to the Punch.
Okay, let's go to the front page of the Punch. And looking at insecurity matters, we'll start with that. State police governors demand greater powers. Plateau tragedy, death toll hits 20. Clinic attacked. Oof. So we're seeing an update here regarding a tragedy occurred in Plateau. It was said that this happened on Sunday night on Kawel Village in Mushere District, Boko's local government area of Plateau State, and it's risen to 2022, with health workers, patients, and security personnel among the victims, residents and community leaders have said. And then residents reported that, this happened in the early hours of Sunday, 21st of June, at about 4:40 a.m. And that, according to the report to the police, that they had just appeared in the community and they were firing gunshots sporadically. And unfortunately, 20 people have passed here. These are some of the reports. The Punch reports that, and looking at the details is really, really sad. Mr. Amechi, let's have your reaction to that as well before we go on. Because again, it feels like rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. You talk about one insecurity story today, before you take a deep breath, another one has happened the next day or the day after.
You're talking about 20 people reported by Punch now this morning, but the latest report confirmed by security people is that the death toll has risen to about 22. In fact, some people are giving figures as high as 25, because most of those who sustained injuries and were taken to hospitals to be treated, of course, have also died.
Daily Post recounts that it's over 30.
Exactly. So, Olive, what is there to say? If you also read the accounts by eyewitnesses, it is the same sad story. We called security people, they took time in coming, they didn't come in time. Fulani militia allegedly came and they were shooting sporadically. don't forget, it is in this same Plateau State that the president went to the airport to say never again. Promised to mount
AI-powered cameras.
AI-powered cameras, 5,000. Not even one has been mounted. The governor himself is almost sounding like a broken record. We are sure that the lives and the properties of the people will be secured. But, you know, over and over again, we've seen that when these terrorists attack, the people are left on their own, very, very vulnerable. I have said it here times that number, that, look, there are non-state actors that are effectively challenging the sovereignty of the Nigerian state. There are non-state actors that are effectively saying, we are in charge. And all these assurances of yourself, we will guarantee your safety, becomes just like a joke. Because 2 weeks down the road, another major attack takes place. In a country where you wake up in the morning, 25 of the citizens are murdered in their sleep, in cold blood, will be in a state of national mourning. But it has become almost like a routine. In fact, a friend of mine was joking the other day. He said he had that any day we wake up and for about 2 weeks and there's no report of these mass killings, that he will begin to ask himself whether this is Nigeria. It's like when you are driving through Oshodi and there's no traffic, the road is free. The first reaction is to say, is everything okay?
Honestly.
Is everything okay? That is how we've been conditioned in this country, that good news. And I've also said it here many times. Who is talking about the Olire children?
Abductions.
Abduction, rather.
That one
is dying down.
Is dying down. Who is talking about the Askeroba adoptions? Who is talking about the 50 elders that went to negotiate?
And they carried them along.
And they took them, released some, and are still keeping some. So nobody, who is even talking about what happened to General Raba and the wife in Katsina State?
Or even the wife, update
now,
on the
Mr.
wife.
Miche, I want to I'm happy you mentioned Katsina State, because this brings us to Katsina State. The governor last Friday, during the inauguration of 152 housing units for internally displaced persons in Jibia local government area, which is a terrorist base. A lot of terrorist activities happen there. The governor said, Governor Diko Rada, he says houses and grants could be yours. He's weighing bandits with reintegration offer. The governor, Diko Rada, appealed to bandits operating across the state's forests to lay down their arms and embrace peace, that they could get houses and grants. So is this not incentivizing terrorism? And is there a sense of hopelessness here when the chief security officer of a state is making this sort of offer? If you're a resident of the state, what message does this send to you?
It sends a very wrong message that the state, which ought to have the monopoly of violence, of instruments of coercion, is like throwing up its arms in the air and admitting when you are when your strategy for winning this war is to appease people who are so vile and who are so violent, people who have taken impunity to the next level, people who will wake up in the morning and go and slaughter 25 citizens in cold blood. When your response to such challenge to the authority of the state is to say, look, we will rehabilitate you. Look, we will give you housing project. Look, how can it work? Even if it is only on the level of banditry or kidnapping for ransom, how much money are you going to give to them? The national chairman of PRP was on television the other day saying that his family paid well over 175 million to rescue a nephew of his or a cousin of his, I've forgotten now which, but that they paid 175 million, one transaction. So
175 million.
Million, yes. Cash and motorbikes and hard drugs that the terrorists demanded, which they bought and delivered. After the people, he said there were 4, then one tried to escape, they killed him, and then took away the other 3. And by the way, this was happening when he was special advisor to President Bola Tinubu, seconded to the office of the vice president. He said he contacted everybody in the presidency.
And nothing could happen.
Help did not come from anywhere. Then they had to, as a family, raise that. So, if people that are making 175 million naira from one transaction alone, how could providing them accommodation, even giving them jobs, how would that deter them from what is now a very lucrative profession?
Besides, you must also not forget that they are your brothers, you know. And like somebody said, they are our brothers. Anyway, we'll come back to continue this conversation. Let's connect with our correspondent, Victor Mbadike, who's on site in Mushin to bring us updates regarding the alleged explosion of IEDs in Mushin. Good morning, Victor. What is the true position? We've seen multiple reports. One newspaper reports that no IEDs were found. Another reports that there was an IED found and that the particles of the IED have been taken for forensic examination. What's the true position and how are the citizens in Mushin feeling this morning?
Well, first of all, businesses have resumed here after that unsettling and scary Monday, which was just yesterday, about less than 24 hours ago. We understand that this happened as early as 6 in the morning. Let me just take you through, the practical incident that took place here. So if you see where I'm standing, actually this was where the vehicle was actually parked. What we have here are just particles of vehicle, the glass particles of that particular vehicle, still remained on the floor here. I mean, the shattered pieces. But before then, we understand that that particular IED was placed on this table. This table actually was really shattered until the owner said that he actually fixed this. So if he had not fixed it, we would have seen a very terrible and shattered table here. So that IED was actually placed here that yesterday morning. And then the question is, how did the IED eventually, how was it triggered? Now, the vehicle that was parked here, the moment he got into his vehicle and then turned on the ignition, we understand that he was heading somewhere to Alava also. At the moment that car was turned on, I'm talking about the ignition, there was a lightning the driver noticed a lightning, and that caused a spark. Now, the IED moved from here, went straight. Let me just take you through how the IED moved, like a lightning speed, and hit through this iron door, this metal door. You will notice some kind of scar on the metal door. This place was actually open. The IED tore through this iron door, although the owner has also fixed his iron door too. All right, it tore through it, and there you go, right? This entire place that you see that has been, fixed was actually opened. It was practically destroyed by the IED. And then we understand that from here, it flew back to that vehicle parked just right in front of that shop that I stood earlier, and got it destroyed. Well, we also understand that the driver of that vehicle, got slightly injured, but not threatening injury anyways. But the most important thing, basically, guys, is that normalcy has since resumed. Earlier we saw an IED ordnance vehicle from the police command, which was here earlier, just trying to ensure that there were no more scares and all of that. But let's talk to Mr. Christian. Mr. Christian will give us further examples because he owns a shop. In fact, it was on one of his tables that the IED, we understand, was on. So he could tell us exactly what could have gone wrong here at his shop. Mr. Christian, do you want to tell us exactly what transpired? Because we also know that that IED, according to you, may have been placed on your table that you found shattered on Monday morning.
Yes. Actually, we came out yesterday morning around that kind, 7 o'clock. So when I came out, I met a woman with his 2 boys standing here. I was asking, this one you blocked the entrance completely. What is happening? They said that something exploded here around 5 minutes to 6. That the husband wanted to go out. Immediately he started his vehicle. He had an explosion. So I now walked around and discovered that my table was shattered. And also the door close to my shop was also shattered. You can see it there. The door was shattered, completely shattered. So immediately, in fact, I was confused, but I tried to alert the community leaders. So when the community leaders came, and also the chairman of our association, Shoe Tailoring Material Dealers Association, Mr. Okechukwu, they immediately called the attention of the security agents who came, both the bomb detective and all of that. They came and took some samples from the explosion. We picked some particles of the device. One small portion of it inside the vehicle, and some littered the ground here. So that was what we saw yesterday morning.
So you have no idea how an IED was placed on your table, if that is actually the case?
I wouldn't know. As I said I came out around 7 o'clock, and they said that incident happened by 6. 10 minutes to, or 5 minutes to 6 in the morning.
So everyone is safe here, nobody was injured?
The driver of the vehicle, a Sienna boss, sustained injury on his head. He immediately was rushed to the hospital that yesterday, and he obtained treatment.
All right, thank you, Mr. Christian. So, guys, first of all, what is very more important now is that normalcy has returned and everybody seems to have gone back to their businesses. Of course, we do not have any major casualty from what he has said. Hopefully, we'll get across to the police command and speak to the commissioner of police and, ask questions about the investigations into the matter. How an IED got into the midst of, shoemakers in what they call the shoe market in Mushin. How was it that exposed and dropped on a table? We need to get answers to some of these questions. But thankfully, it didn't go beyond just shattering the table that IED was placed, and of course that metal door that it also tore through. So far, well, you could say so good, but we probably need to get to the end of what may have happened here on Monday, guys.
You've done an incredible job. Thank you very much, Victor, for bringing us this report. We are happy to hear that no one has been hurt in such a terrible way. So we look forward to finding out what the forensic reports will show. Thank you for your time. All right, let's come back to the studio here. We are almost out of time, as quickly as we can. Front page of the Guardian newspaper, Spike in bus fares, rents, forced Nigerians to live in cars, offices, and shops. Best believe I was going to take this story because I got an email that my rent has been, or a letter, 2 months to the expiration of my rent, that my rent has been increased by 110%. I think at this point it's time to look for one corner inside the studio there that will just bring my mattress out.
You guys going to jump in on this.
I know. Happening now, we have a very lovely management. They could just send you to New Central or Guashuku. Can start work for. We're connecting with Olive in our family home, in our ancestral home.
So I should move back.
Home is where the heart is, my sister.
What's your take, Mr. Richie?
See pictures. People are living in their cars now.
No, this is true.
It's sad.
This is true.
People can't afford houses again.
And the government is just folding its arms.
My worry is not even that people are sleeping in their cars, people are doing this, because the hardship is real. The pains are so excruciating that you can feel it. But if my worry is, how on earth is it that a party that has inflicted so much pain on the people is being rewarded with victory?
Landslide.
Meanwhile, on that same front page,
in elections.
Don't Pastor Richard Jeffo tells Tinubu on the same front page of the Guardian, he says, don't seek re-election. Richard Jeffo tells Tinubu.
He should save his breath. He should save his breath because the president, of course, will seek a re-election. It is left for Nigerians to, if at the end of the day, Nigerians vote for him again, so be it. You know, I don't want to bother myself again about this country and the way people behave. Are we so docile? People cannot be complaining. I can't pay house rent. I can't buy fuel in my car. I can't eat. I can't do anything. And you can't even sleep in your house. People are talking about IEDs in Mushin. Of course, we need to play it down so that as not to raise tension. But the truth of the matter is that this insecurity is coming home. It is inching closer by the day. 47 people kidnapped in Oyo. One beheaded, a teacher. Recorded and posted online. So each day we are talking about these things. It is no longer Meduguri. It is no longer Zamfara. It is no longer Niger State. It is coming back home. People are being kidnapped in the southwest, in the southeast, almost on daily basis. People are paying ransom quietly, and because they have lost hope in the ability of the government to give them the protection that they need. So when people say, don't pay ransom, I ask, what is the alternative? If a special advisor to the president who was in Asorok could not secure the freedom of his own relation that was adopted,
with his level of influence,
with his level of influence, with his reach, with his contacts, what more? A poor farmer in Zamfara. So, where we are, I continue saying it, Nigeria is in a very bad place. And I don't see any other country where this thing happens, where there is this festival of blood on daily, weekly, monthly basis. There's no month that passes without hearing. It's not one person, 22, 25, 30, 50 killed.
And we move on with life like that.
And
exactly.
1 week, 2 weeks down the road, everybody forgets that. We are waiting for the next tragedy. Politicians are only interested in securing 2027 victory. What they have done with the one that was given to them 3 years ago, they don't care, and they don't feel they owe the people a responsibility to tell them, this is what we did with the mandate you gave us, and based on this and this, we are seeking a renewal so that we will go from point A, where we are now, to point B. Everybody says it is an entitlement. Bayo Onanoga says it is childish for somebody to call for resignation of a president because he has a fixed 4-year term.
Unfortunately.
Whereas the same constitution has these things for how a president can be removed, he can be impeached. There is even this thing for resignation. Nobody's talking about that. You have a fixed 4-year term, and they have even gone beyond that to say that it is 8 years. The man must serve his 8 years.
We have to go. I mean, since as we are talking about tenures and limits to tenures, our own tenure has ended for today on Breakfast Central, and Jasiri will be picking up from there. Thank you so much, Mr. Ikechukwu Amechi, for joining us. Thank you to our virtual audience. The conversation continues tomorrow. See you and have a wonderful rest of the day.